So, project for this week is your favourite animal on some sort of pedestal. So hopefully you've seen the lesson plan with the project sheet and a picture there of inspiration of an image that I found. I guess we all hopefully like animals, maybe some more than others. So I was just thinking might have some fun this week, hand built something, and see how you go. This is Skip. Long story, and I won't bore you with it, but he's been a mate of mine for a couple of years. It started off as a bit of a joke with a colleague, and I've kind of got fond of the little fella. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of maybe share a couple of things technique-wise with you that you might find useful and apply it to all sorts of sculpture. So with something like this, where you're going to be sculpting a figure, or it might be an animal, a head or a bust or something like that. Different ways of going about it. Obviously you can hand build in different methods, sometimes using slabs, coil technique, and build your form that way. Sometimes I quite like to build things out of a solid lump of clay. That way it's quite strong. I can sculpt the outside and get the shape and the features that I want, but then you need to hollow it out. Really important, because obviously you can only fire clay to a certain thickness. So I just wanted to kind of show you a few things around hollowing out. So I've got a couple little pieces here that they're really rough. You're going to have to use your imagination. But say if you were making something like some sort of animal like that, it'd be like, which would be the best way to hollow it out? And I suppose with something like this, I'd probably just cut it in the middle and hollow it out from both ends and then join it back together again. So that would be something I'd do with that. If there were sculpted figures like these two little rough things, Gail reckons they just look like a pair of old people, maybe like us. The way I'd go about it is you want to cut it where you're going to do the least amount of damage to your sculpting. So obviously with something like this, most of the features are going to be at the front with the face and arms and legs, a lot less at the back. So I would tend to slice it down the middle that way, so that you can then scoop out the two halves and then put it back together again. And when I say scoop it out, I mean something like this one, right? You can see where I've cut it down the back. It just means that when I go to put it back together again, all the messing around of joining it, I'm not sort of interfering with all of the features that I've taken time to sculpt on the front. So the way to kind of put it back together again is that once you've kind of scooped it out, and you can see how much clay I've scooped it out, just so I'm left with a wall thickness there, and the same on the other half. And sometimes I'll work on bits of sponge and just rest my figures down on that again so they don't get distorted and flattened. And then you just score the edge, and you do it to the other piece as well. I'm doing it pretty quickly, so you can imagine you take a bit of time doing it. Now, before I put it back together again, I get a skewer and I put lots of pin pricks, lots, throughout the piece, like as you can see. So just in case by adding clay I've put any air pockets there, hopefully I will be releasing the air so that this piece does not blow up in the firing. So like I said, lots and lots of holes. If you go through, don't worry, just patch it up on the outside. Same with this piece. So you can imagine, I don't know, 100, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of holes. Score it, and then slip the two halves. So again, really liberal with the slip, okay? Plenty. So that when you put it back together again, it's going to make a really good connection. I put slip on the other half as well, but just for the sake of the exercise, put it back together again, match it up, and then squeeze it together so that it really makes good contact. I've let this firm up a little bit too, so after the initial sculpting, let it firm up, but not too hard that you can't cut it in half easily. And then, as I said, put it down on some sponge, and then once you've done that, then really work that join really well. So I usually go all the way around, joining it together, and then kind of make a bit of a channel. So once I've done all of that, make a bit of a channel there, and then I get a coil of clay, and I just dip it in a bit of water, and then I feed that coil into the join and then smooth it out. Because you're not joining on the inside, you got to make sure that you join the outside really well. Then once I've done that and I've joined it together again, then I'll refine and put even more detail in and finish off my sculpture. So just thought I'd share that with you. I guess it's the pin pricking that's really important. And then the other thing, because it's an enclosed object, you need to make sure that you have at least one pinhole into the body of the pot so that air can escape and it doesn't blow up in the firing. So lots of pinholes on the inside, and then at least one. And it only needs to be a pinhole as long as it lets the air out and it won't explode in the kiln. So hopefully you found that interesting. Have some fun with this project. I know some of you won't be right into it, so just make a small one. But you know, if you enjoy doing it, you might make a marquette and then decide, yeah, this was good, I'll make a bigger one. I know some of you will want to do something slightly different, and I'm just going to say, go for it. Whatever you come up with, just make sure it's a really good piece of work. So hopefully I'll see you back in class next week on campus. Bye.